Sometimes a year can make all the difference. And sometimes 7 years can make no difference at all, and it's tough to know which model year to choose. Newer isn't always better. And we should know, at Edmunds, we've been testing Tacomas for decades, and we've teamed up with CarMax to help you make the best truck buying decision. So today we're going over the 3rd and 4th generation Tacomas. We'll talk about the 2016 to the 2023 models, as well as the 2024 and newer trucks, and check out those differences and see why you might want one over the other. The Tacoma is a mid-size truck. That means it sits right in the middle of larger trucks like the Chevy Silverado and smaller little itty-bitty guys like the Ford Maverick. And it's honestly a great size. This is more like what full-size trucks were, say, 20 or 30 years ago. So you get a lot of capability, but you can still park it in your garage. Now, Toyota redesigned the Tacoma in 2024, giving us a bunch of updates from the technology to even giving this mid-size truck a brand new engine. It also thoroughly modernized the interior with a big old screen and more comfortable seats. But that doesn't mean that the old truck needs to be put out to pasture. Oh, no. See, this V6 is actually really great. And while you won't get the latest and greatest technology, you do get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in 2020 and newer models. Plus, if you're gonna hit the dirt, this one's pretty capable. Now, when it comes to pricing, the Tacoma definitely has a reputation of holding its value. In fact, in an Edmunds study, we found that the Tacoma was one of the top 5 vehicles that held its value over the last 3 years. Now, of course, when you opt for an older vehicle, you will save some cash up front. And on average, the 2020 to 2023 Tacoma is going to save you about $6,000 over the 2024 to 2025 model. But the differences between the old and new truck aren't just skin deep. Both trucks received 4 out of 5 stars in NHTSA crash tests, but in the IIHS testing, the newer 2024 and 2025 models received top safety pick awards, while the older 2023 model didn't. Toyota produced this 3rd generation Tacoma from 2016 to 2023 with a small little refresh in 2020. Now, this truck is the perfect size, strong enough for projects around the house and weekend towing without being super huge and ginormous. We really like this version, but there is some room for improvement. And getting in here can be kind of tricky, and then once you're in, it's not like you get any more room than you would in a similar mid-size truck like the Chevy Colorado, to say nothing of a larger truck like the Ford F-150. And speaking of room, if you're a taller driver, you're definitely going to want to get a 2020 or newer Tacoma, because that is when Toyota added in more seat adjustability, including the ability to lower the seat. I know, it's so glamorous. These seats have been a complete pain point for Toyota for so long, so the extra adjustability is a nice added touch. The other difference is in the tech. In fact, when you look at these two interiors, the screen in the middle and a couple of buttons on the steering wheel, those are the only things that have changed over the years. You've got the same cup holders, the same air vents, the same dashboard, the same everything. But with the tech, Toyota added standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in 2020, and that goes a long way towards making an older car feel modern. There's not a lot of interior storage inside the Tacoma, you just get like a couple little cubbies. You also get 3 cup holders. They might actually fit your stuff. This wide one won't fit at all, but this one's okay, but it's a little wobbly. And lastly, you do get some small door pockets, but really, it's just nothing special. Now, one thing we really like about this Tacoma is the control setup. I've got physical buttons and knobs for pretty much every function. A lot of new trucks put all of their functions into the touchscreen, but this here is very simple and straightforward. This last gen Tacoma is a breath of fresh air. And the rear seat, well, there is less to like back here. First of all, it's just as hard to get into as the front, and the car seat situation is just miserable. The anchors here are easy enough to use, but securing to the tether points means you gotta tilt the seat back forward so you can access them. Plus, there's very little space back here for passengers of any size, so putting in bulkier seats and most rear-facing car seats, that means that folks up front are gonna have to scoot forward. So, what's it like to drive? Well, I mean, it's okay. Most versions of the Tacoma here are going to have that old school V6. There's definitely enough power, but you're gonna need a real heavy foot to access it because most of that power doesn't come on until the latter half of the power band. Efficiency here is okay, but the ride's pretty stiff and you get a lot of wind and road noise. Oh, and if you like things like adaptive cruise control, Toyota added that as well as a few modern driver's aids in 2019 as standard fare. But the biggest consideration here is that you'll spend a lot more on a 2023 than on a 2016, and for the most part, they're the same truck. Our recommendation? Unless phone connectivity and driver's aids matter to you, or you just want a newer car, one of the earlier third-generation Tacomas from 2016 or 2017 could be a smart buy. Even if you do drop the extra cash onto 2022 or 2023, it'll still feel kinda old. That seat adjustment point can make a meaningful difference for taller drivers, and the inclusion of Apple CarPlay might make a 2020 or 2021 the sweet spot. Toyota redesigned the Tacoma for 2024. It is sharper, more aggressive, and just a little bit more modern, but all of the big differences are on the inside. First of all, look at all of this storage. I've got a shelf for my passenger. I got little cubbies everywhere. I only get 2 cup holders here. They won't fit a wide bottom. I can fit the skinny bottom one in here, but man, are they like wobbly schmobbly. Look at that. The door pocket down here is kind of small, but look, I've got like this second story. Like, that's pretty awesome. Now, these are things that you might not notice during a test drive, but when we test for Edmunds, we really pay attention because they make a difference in your day-to-day ownership. All right, now, these seats. Hang on, the seat's getting there, I promise. Just a few more minutes. Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Oh, there we go. All right. Now, not only is there more room for things, there's even more room for people in this new Tacoma. In fact, all of our 6 foot or over reporters, they said that they were more comfortable here because the seat goes down lower. I mean, yes, in this one, it's manual. It's going to take me a while to pump it back up, but you get the idea. We've also got more advanced tech. You get this big configurable screen behind the steering wheel for all your gauges, plus a better touchscreen. The infotainment's much quicker and the software makes more sense, and Apple CarPlay is wireless. Now this one's the same size as what you get in the later third-gen trucks, but there's an optional screen that is way bigger and much easier to read. Fortunately, Toyota saw the value in physical controls, and this new Tacoma is still straightforward and easy to use. Plus, these temperature controls, they're nice and chunky, so they're even easier to use with gloves on. Some less likable things stay the same too. Although there's technically an inch more rear legroom back here than in the third generation truck, the new Tacoma's back seat is still gonna be a tight squeeze for any full-size passengers. And yeah, you guessed it, same tethers behind the seats and the same limited space for bigger child seats. These trucks might not be the best picks if you're gonna have little ones back there. Now, if you drive these 2 generations back to back, you're also gonna notice a lot of differences behind the wheel. Now, first off, let's talk about the engine. See, Toyota switched to a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and while it gets about the same efficiency as that old V6, we really like the power plant in here better. Between the new engine and a new transmission, this Tacoma feels a lot more powerful without you needing to push the accelerator pedal all the way to the floor. And in our testing, we found it's actually a little bit quicker to get up to freeway speeds than the old truck. Plus, there's a hybrid option that's more powerful and a little more efficient. Another advantage is the driver's aids. When we use the adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, and cameras as part of the Edmunds test process, everything was a noteworthy step up, to the point where they can actually reduce fatigue on a long drive. And all these features are standard on every trim. Now, unfortunately, the new truck doesn't really drive much differently. It's still loud, especially when the engine is really working. Also, the ride quality isn't very smooth. You'll get a better ride in other midsize pickups like the Chevy Colorado and the Ford Ranger. Now, there are a few downsides to both these generations of Toyota Tacoma, but we think that if you're looking for a new truck with the latest and greatest technology, the 2024 and newer is going to be a good buy. Of course, you can save a little bit of money, go for the slightly older vehicle, same form factor, but you get the V6. But if both of these trucks are too expensive for you, you can go even further back and save a ton more cash. So, what do you think? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time.